Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us live for today's Customer Success Workshop with Paul Phillip, the founder and CEO at Amity. My name is Mathilde, and I'm the manager of marketing here at Amity, where we provide customer success managers with a platform that they need to retain and grow their customers at scale. We're super excited to be discussing our framework around how to design your customer health score today. Before that, introducing our presenter, Paul is the founder and the CEO at Amity. He's a leading innovator in Saas and customer success, and since founding Amity, he's spoken with customer success professionals from all industries, and he's acquired a great wealth of knowledge about best practices, which he shares with our customers on a daily basis and with us today. So before we get started, a couple of housekeeping notes. As usual, join us on Twitter, take a screenshot and share it using the hashtag CSWorkshop and tag us at GetAmity and at PPhil. We will be recording the webinar today and sending out the slides before the weekend, so check your inbox and you'll get a replay link. Feel free to share with your network as well. And we do have a Q&A planned at the end of the webinar today, so at any point in your Zoom control panel, you can open the Q&A section, and you can send us questions in there. Don't wait until the end, just send them as they pop into your head. We also do have a chat that's open if you want to engage with other attendees. And that's it for me. So Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Excited for today's webinar, and I'll let you take it from here.
Great, thanks Mathilde. Thanks everybody for attending today. We're really thrilled to have you. And as Mathilde said, if you have any questions, if anything comes up during today's webinar that you want to be answered at all, we love being interactive, and your questions are way more valuable than our opinions. So please ask a question at any time. And so let's kick in. So the goal of any work that we do in a practical customer success workshop has to be to improve customer success performance. And at Amity, we've been doing a lot of thinking about this. We've been talking to a lot of Saas companies about this. We've been talking to our customers about this. Is how do you systematically go about improving the performance of your customer success organization and your business? And we're starting to roll out a model based on what we've learned there. And so we're very excited to give you a preview of that model today, and to show you how designing your customer success health score can be a key capability for improving your customer success performance. And we all know what the goal of customer success is. We don't have to have that conversation anymore. Make our customers successful and predictably drive revenue growth. What's less clear to everybody, and I mean everybody, customer success vendors, SaaS vendors, public SaaS vendors, startup SaaS vendors, non-SaaS vendors, everybody is, what's the path to getting there predictably? What's the path to improving performance predictably? And at Amity, we believe there is a path, and we're going to start that conversation today. So when people want to improve the performance in their SaaS organization, there's a few predictable things that they do. One is if they're not happy with their results, they change the people. And when you've got a high degree of customer success executive churn, that's probably not a good thing. And we've seen this happen. We've seen, companies replace a VP, that VP replaces all their team over time, and a year later they have exactly the same results. And then they do the same thing over again. And so just replacing people typically doesn't work. And then they'll try, okay, well, replacing the team didn't work. why don't we get some new tools? So we'll get an NPS tool, we'll get a customer success platform, and we'll get a better ticketing system, and we'll add in-app messaging. And they implement all of that, and a year later, the results are the same. And then they replace the people that did all that. And then some companies will roll out a brand new process. So we're not doing customer success that way anymore. We're doing customer success this way. And it'll typically be very prescriptive. Here's the new recipe. And they'll roll that out. And a year later, they won't have any difference in their results. So therefore, it's got to be a product problem. So let's change our UI. Let's change the way the product works. Let's add all of these new features. And a year later, same thing. So just changing your people, changing your tools, changing your product, changing your processes isn't guaranteed, isn't a predictable way of improving your customer success process. So yeah, let's step back for a second. And you can think of a SaaS business as having two arms, all built around your value proposition. So you've got the marketing and sales. You can tell that the marketing team put this slide together. The marketing and sales team sells customer on your value proposition. And it's the customer success organization's job to deliver on that value proposition, both initially and repetitively over time, and hopefully in an increasing way. And so if the customer success organization is getting better at delivering the value proposition that the sales and marketing teams are delivering, your performance will go up. Okay? So what needs to happen is that your people, your processes, your tools, they all need to work together. They need to be aligned to delivering your value proposition, both at a macro level for all of your customers, all of your segments, all of your industries, all of your products, and at a micro level for this particular customer, or this particular new user. And it's the magic comes when you get these aligned. And it's why a swap out generally doesn't work. Is, in this diagram here, if you swap out all of your people and replace them, but your tools and your processes are the same, you're probably not going to change your results very much. And so the way to think about improving your customer success performance and designing your customer health scores is, how do we get better at working all of these together to deliver our value proposition? And to double click on that, make it a little more operational, the way you can think about this is that your customer success organization is a portfolio of capabilities that go into working on delivering your value proposition. And the universe of possible customer success capabilities is really large, but it'll look something like onboarding, health score, customer experience management, customer coaching, training, maybe a domain area expertise. And these, of course, can be hierarchical. So underneath the onboarding capability, you could have an implementation capability, you could have a project management capability. So it's these capabilities working together that actually deliver your value proposition. And one of the first places to start when you're thinking about improving your customer success performance is asking yourselves, do we have all of the capabilities we need to deliver the value proposition? Because the lowest hanging fruit is to add a missing capability. So if you can only walk on your left foot, you'll probably hop and not be very fast. And if you can add a left foot and a right foot, then you can run and go a lot faster. Okay. And then inside each capability, you can think of them as being a process, tools, and people. And they have to be aligned at delivering the goals of the particular capability that you're talking about. So if you're talking about onboarding, your onboarding process, people and tools need to work together to onboard your customers in a way that accelerates the value proposition. Okay. And so it starts looking a lot like a fractal diagram, and this inventorying out your capabilities this way, and just making sure that you've got the right process, people, and tools, and that they're working together for each individual capability. Because the way to systematically improve your performance over time is to systematically improve the performance of your capabilities. So get a little bit better at coaching, get a little bit better at onboarding, get a little bit better at customer insight and health scores and customer experience. And then rinse, repeat, rinse and repeat. Okay, so if you think of your customer success organization as a portfolio of capabilities, then one of the core capabilities that every customer success organization is going to want to have in one way or the other is the a customer health score or customer insights, ways of measuring and comparing how your customers are doing in your organization, and so that you can then use this customer health score and the visibility you get in improving your other capabilities. So this is a core capability because this is a capability you need to improve the other capabilities that you have. I need a word with fewer syllables than capabilities. Okay, so customer health score is core capability of any customer success organization, and it supports and informs and drives other capabilities, and for that reason, it's foundational. That slide says what I just said. Okay, so customer health score, you can think of it as your early warning system, and it can be a macro level early warning system that says this customer is healthy or unhealthy, or it can be a capability level early warning system that says the onboarding for this customer is unhealthy, or the business outcomes for this customer are unhealthy or are very healthy. And so you can think of the health score as being the canary in the coal mine. And the way the canary in the coal mine works is that when you're a coal miner, it's very important that you get out of the mine if certain gases are released from inside the mine, but the gases don't have an odor, so it's very hard to detect. And so miners would hang a canary from the roof, and if the canary was happy and chirping, everything was good. But if a canary died, it was time to get out of the mine as soon as possible. And so the canary was a signal. The canary told you that something had changed, something important, and something that you needed to act on. And getting your signals straight is an important part of designing the health score in your customer success operations. So a signal is just a piece of data with an expected range. Maybe this is the average number of users in a week, and the expected value is 75. But if it goes below 50, that's a problem. And so the fact that that your average number of users in a week has gone above or below your acceptable range, that's the signal. So knowing that it's 71 or 67 or 104 by itself doesn't really matter. You can't really act on that. What really matters is that it's outside of the acceptable or the expected range. And so those are what signals are. Something is outside of a range, or something that was outside of a range went back inside of a range, a healthy range. Okay, so health scores are a signal that tell you it's time to take an action. Okay. So when designing your customer health score, it's the first thing you want to do is really figure out your goals for the health score. There are no useful health scores. There are no good health scores. There are no bad health scores outside of, are they helping me achieve my goals or not helping me achieve my goals? So the questions you want to ask when you're designing your health score is, who's going to be using the health score? So this might be a health score for a CSM. And what capabilities are going to be improved by using that health score? And so maybe it's an onboarding capability. Or, and then what actions will be triggered? So really critical is knowing what actions you're going to take, because if the action is getting on the phone with a customer, then you want a health score that's not very volatile, because you can't get on the phone with a customer if the health score changes every hour. And so you know, if the action is get on the phone with the customer, you probably want that to change maybe once or twice a week. And then what other metrics that you gather will be impacted? So you might have risk metrics that are driven from a health score. So this is the very first thing to think about when thinking about your health score is, you know, who, what, when, why, how this is going to be used. Okay. And all of the health equipment here is there's no point taking your blood pressure every hour if you're not going to be doing something about it with that data. You can take it once in the morning, and and if you're not going to exercise, there's not much reason to be taking your pulse all the time. Okay, so once you've got your goals clear, you want to define what actions you're going to take. So some of the questions to ask yourself when designing the actions you're going to take are, what challenges are the customers likely going to face? So having having a health score that says the customers are using less features might not necessarily on its own be particularly useful. What might be useful is customers find it difficult to set up dashboards. And so you might want to have a health score that tells you how well they're doing with the dashboards. And so once you're clear about what challenges your customers might be facing, then what are you going to do about that? What actions are you going to take that will impact that particular customer challenge? And are you going to train them? Are you going to apologize for something? Are you going to submit a bug report? Are you going to talk to the executive sponsor? What are you going to do about the challenge that you're looking to find out? Because that'll tell you, again, what type of health score you're going to need, how often that it's going to change. And then what signals will tell you it's time to take this action. Okay? So again, if the challenge is that the customers have a hard time setting up a dashboard, then you might want to see how many times dashboards are being created, how many times the dashboard creator tool is being used, how often people are looking at the dashboard, have a goal for that, but it's very specific. And when you see the health score change, it should automatically at least suggest the action that you want to take, that you want people to take. If not, absolutely point people in that direction. Okay. Another key design principle for designing a health score is to start small and iterate. I really can't emphasize this enough, is that we've seen SaaS companies, we've seen customers design really, really sophisticated multivariate health scores that don't really help them, or maybe even get in the way, because what they needed to do was implement something simple, put that out, test it, see what works, see what doesn't work, make some changes, measure the results, and iterate on that. And if you do this repeatedly, if you make your health score a little more accurate, a little more actionable, a little more valuable every month, in 6, 9, 12 months, you'll have a great set of health scores. Whereas if you start with something fancy, after a year, you may have to just start all over again. Another key point when designing your health score is context really matters. And in this example, we're using your life cycle stage as context. So a health score during a trial period will probably be very different than a health score during the launch period, will be very different than a health score during the expand period. And the health score that you want to drive upsell or cross-sell will be very different than a health score that you design to help you improve adoption. And this can also be different industries, different types, size businesses, different types of businesses, different product lines, different regions. All of those things can have an impact on your health score. So while you may have a roll-up overall health score per account, the likely most useful ones are going to be very context specific. Okay, so let's talk specifically about the designing your signals. And so this is a little spreadsheet you can quickly put together to tell you what the source of the signals are going to be. So in this case, we've identified business outcome as one source of signal, adoption as another source of signals, delivery and operations as another source of signals, customer feedback as another source of signals, and customer relationships as another source of signals. That's a pretty good list, but I'm sure that you'll have others. And then that signal will be determined by one or more measures. And so if you take a look at the outcome example, you can see that you have an outcome level that's above a particular level, or an outcome level that's gone up 10% or down 10%, or an outcome level that's above a particular goal. These are all ways of defining the acceptable or expected range for a particular value. And your health score may be a combination of all three of these. And so you may have just one health score that says the business outcomes are healthy, business outcomes are normal, business outcomes are unhealthy. But there can be multiple measures that go into into calculating that. And also you can weight those measures. So you may know that outcome 1 is the most important, and so you may give it a weight of 75%, and then the other 2 of 12.5%, but they're still important. So the actual signal will come in something that's operationalizable in your business, but it may be made up of multiple different measures. And one of the mistakes that's really easy to make is to drive your health scores from one particular measure. And business outcomes are like that, work that way. Customer feedback, maybe you have a CSAT survey tool or an NPS survey tool, and you may want a particularly low NPS score to be unhealthy. So anything below a 4 is unhealthy. Anything above a 7 is healthy, and anything in between is neutral. Okay. So this is this is really the heart of designing your. This is where it comes into action. Or what are the signals you want? What types of signals? Outcome signals, adoption signals, relationship signals, and then what data do you have that will help you detect that signal? Okay. So that's the main content of the webinar. If you'd like to talk about how Amity can help you with your health scores, or how Amity can help you to align all of your tools, your people, and your processes to deliver better customer success performance, just come to our website and request a demo. It can, Amity can really help you simplify the process of implementing a powerful and effective health score. We'd love to show that to you. Okay, and now we're going to move into Q&A. Mathilde, any questions?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. We already have a really good list of awesome questions from the audience. I'd really encourage everyone to send us more through the Q&A panel in Zoom. But let's get started with one question that we've been getting repeatedly from people. Paul, do you have examples of metrics to include in your health score? People often mention support tickets, NPS. What else?
Right. So again, that's the data that you're going to use, the metrics you're going to use are going to depend on the goal that you have for your health score and the action you're going to take. Tickets is a good example. So tickets could be a source of health score. The question is an increase or a decrease in the number of tickets a healthy thing or an unhealthy thing? And that'll really depend on the context. During onboarding, if they stop asking questions, could be a problem. And if they submit a lot of tickets and that goes down, that could be a problem. On the other hand, if they're submitting a lot of tickets, maybe they're finding a lot of bugs, and that could be a problem. So it's so there's how do I want to say this? So the metric itself you have to think about how you're going to use that metric to be able to pick it. But typically things are changes in ticketing rate, changes in engagement, changes in product usage. By far the most important one, if you can measure it, is the business outcomes. Are they getting all of the value propositions that you promised them? Where are they short? Are they short in one, not others? Because ultimately, if customers are happy but not getting value, they're going to churn. And if they're getting value and not happy, you have a much higher chance of being able to turn them around. So those are examples.
Awesome. We just got a question, which is, can Amity assist in automation with customer communications? So.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You can have emails generated by a change in a health score or a particular health score level. You can create tasks. So when a particular health score goes from healthy to unhealthy, you can create a task for the CSM on that account, for example, send them an email. That's Amity can help you manage all of that.
Awesome. Another really good question that we've been getting a lot of is, how do you identify which components of the health score to weigh more heavily?
Yeah, so that's definitely one that comes out of the iteration process. At the very beginning, you probably can't get it right. So you can take a good guess and iterate and see what's working. But definitely one way of doing it is if you can compare your successful customers with your unsuccessful customers for each metric. So if you have a business outcome metric and you've got a happy successful customer and unhappy unsuccessful customer, see how that metric has changed over time for the successful customer and the unsuccessful customer. And if that has some predictive value, then you might want to weight that more than the ones that have less predictive value.
Awesome. Another question here is, how do you account for customer size? When, for instance, some accounts have only 2 or 3 users, it can seem chattery and inconsistent to use overall usage frequency. If the example given here is, for example, if one of the 2 users leaves on vacation, it will mark the health score as low. Any tips around that?
Yeah, so that's a great example of context mattering, in that case, where there's inherent volatility in the signal that you want to use in your health score. What we do in the Amity product, what we do in our customer success team here at Amity, is we have a manual override, and so we can mute the signal for a period of time because we know that somebody went on vacation. But you can also weight that signal differently for a large customer and a small customer.
Awesome. Another question here is, how do you sell management on implementing a health score capability?
Ask your management if they like flying blind and if they drive their car looking in the rear view mirror. Health scores are what provides the executive, the management, with visibility, with transparency into what's happening in the company. But again, go back to the 2 things you need to do when you're thinking about your health score is, what are the goals for the health score, and what are the actions you're going to take based on those health scores. And if you're having trouble selling a health score to an executive, it probably means that you don't have a goal that is lined up with what's important with that executive. And I'd suggest that you get your health score, your goals for your health score lined up with the executives that you need support from.
Awesome. We have some time for a couple more questions. So a really good question that we got in live today is, do you recommend creating health scores on the individual user, end user level, or company account level?
Yes.
To all of it.
It really depends on the nature of your business. And but if there are unhealthy users, eventually you're going to have an unhealthy account. But there are times when user health is less important than account health, or account health is less important than user health. So it really depends on your business. But if one of your goals is to keep your users engaged and happy, and one of your actions is to turn them around if they're unhappy, then absolutely user level health scores and maybe roll-ups of user level health scores are important.
Awesome. Thanks. Another great question here is an example. So this person said 1/3 of our health score is based on CSM health assessment, which is kind of a gut feeling based on non-tangible factors. And the other 2/3 are measurable, like open tickets, breadth of product usage, etc. Do you think that 1/3 to 2/3 is too high a proportion?
Again, I have no idea. It really depends on your business. So you have to be two-headed about it, because I think having a subjective customer success manager component is smart, and that everybody should do that. But it's going to then change from CSM to CSM. And so you do need some standards for how you assess, how they assess their customer success, their intuitive score. Just because, different types of personalities will score different things in different ways. And the thing you can do is to take a look at what's the history of the intuitive health score, and how well does that correlate with what happened with that customer. And a good example is, an angry customer isn't always at risk, and a silent customer isn't always safe. And so those can really throw off your intuitive score. But if you take a look at what the average CSM score was over the last year, and whether that led to churn or not, or growth or not, that'll give you some insight. And then also tweak it a little bit and see what happens.
Awesome. Why don't we take one more question before we wrap up?
Okay.
So a question here, a lot of people don't have a health score yet, but they've been tracking NPS for a long time. So they have data around NPS.
Yep.
So question that we're getting a lot of is NPS a good starting point for your health score?
Yeah, so first of all, NPS does give you insight, especially how it changes. So, some people may regularly give you a 7, and it means the same thing as the people who regularly give you a 10. It's like I never score my Uber driver a 5. I always score them a 4, and if they get a 3, that means they really messed up. And but not everybody is like that. So you have to keep those types of things in mind. But in the spirit of starting small and iterating, NPS isn't a bad place to start. One of the questions you'll have to ask is it the individual NPS scores that are really important, or is it the aggregate or average scores over the whole account? Those are things that you're going to want to figure out. And then when you start getting surprised, low NPS score upsells and a high NPS score churns, you can start looking at your other data and see what you missed.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending the workshop today. I hope it was helpful. Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to present on this topic today. And yeah, that's it for today. So
great. Thanks, Mathilde. Thanks, everybody. If you think of any questions, just drop us an email. We'd be happy to help.